welcome back to FiddleUP. I'm Emerald Ray, and today we are going to be working on Monaghan's jig. I love this one so much, and as you may have noticed, the tune itself is not particularly hard, but there's all this hard stuff that you can throw in there once you get it up to speed, and so I wanted to use this tune to talk about all that stuff. It's technically an intermediate level tune, although it is 4 parts, so it's kind of long. And though it's not hard, there's some tricky passages in it. So I would say for an Irish tune, it's hard. I don't want to sound all biased. I feel like I feel like I pick on Irish music so much. But for an Irish tune, it's not actually that hard. I mean, compared to Scottish tunes that are hard, this tune isn't very hard. So if you're killing it with the Scottish tunes, this one's gonna feel easy. If you're, just getting into, some of the harder Irish tunes, this is gonna feel like top level hard. So let's dive in. This is an E minor, and we're starting up on the A string here. So we're just dancing around that. Just dancing around that E minor chord, and so you get a B, G, E, and then kind of going up to the F sharp there. So, this tune has a lot of pep in it, for an E minor tune. It's like, it kind of feels like I'm doing kind of more staccato bows the entire time. Not staccato, but kind of more accented, kind of grittier, shorter bows the entire time. So if that's why it seems like I'm, it's because I'm actually playing the tune on the slow side. So let's try that again, that first phrase. And then the next phrase is similar but slightly different. So dancing around with that E minor chord. And now we're moving to a D major. So just to refresh our memories, an E minor chord is E, G, B. And then a D chord is A, D, F sharp, A. I went to music school, I swear. So we have. So there we have our whole, that whole first 2 phrases there, and then continuing on. So that's kind of a mix-up of the 2 first phrases. So I'm actually going to back up all the way to the beginning so we can make sure we're in the right place here. So starting from the very beginning. Let's try that one more time. So if you're somebody who counts, you can start to see that, how many times we do the E minor before we do the D. I think it's about 3 times before we switch to the D. So if you're somebody who counts that way, then you can count up. There we go. So continuing on, we have the same as before. Now notice we have that same phrase twice, but it's used differently. It was used as an ending before, and now it's used as the beginning. And now we're going to a big D thing. So I'm hitting a big roll on that D on the A string there. And you can head over to if you haven't quite got that down yet, or if you want to work on it, if you don't feel like your rolls are crispy enough, then I would head over to the ornamentation section. I have a whole video on how to do your rolls nice and pretty and how to practice them in scales. And if that is something that you feel like you need to work on at this point, I would definitely go do it. It definitely really helps just once you do a few of those scales. And I practice them every once in a while just to keep things nice and crisp. So it's a good thing to have in the arsenal. So I'm doing a roll on the D, and then 1, 2, 3, and then, so this is all just D heaven here. One more time. And on that F sharp, I'm kind of doing a little, that's just a little pull off there. It's kind of like a sort of a trill, but more of a, I don't know, and it's a gray area. So that is actually the end of the A part. So we are in good shape so far. So let's do the second half of the A part, which sounds like this. Okay, there we go. So now let's do the whole A part as we have it so far. There we go. And so continuing on, we're going to be following that form quite a lot. So the rest of this is going to go pretty quickly. So we have the B part. So as we can see, we have just, da ba da da ba da. So we're starting off with a big arpeggio, and jumping up to the top E, and then back down again. So we have, try that one more time. Next phrase. And let's try that again. So that's just, you're hitting a nice, that's an E minor 7 chord there. So we're hitting a nice big fat roll on that F sharp down there. So we have that E minor 7 chord. And then that roll. There we go. So far we have. Pretty easy. And then we have. Exactly the same as before, and then we just have the ending. All right, so I think we can try the whole B part together. Let's give it a shot. we go. So moving on to part C. It gets really exciting in part C. We have a good, nice high point here, reaching the apex of the tune. And this goes up to the high G. Now, I kind of change how I do this all the time, so I'm sorry if I'm being annoying, but, you know, as written, it would be... But I kind of think it's fun to not do that F sharp. I don't know, I like that better, so I'll teach it to you that way because that's the way I do it, but you might hear other versions. As you know, I'm sure you're familiar with several different versions of a few tunes so far, so you know how this works. So let's go G. Let's try that one more time. There we go. Very strong start. And now we have the next phrase. So this is where we're shifting to the D chord here. So even though we were starting on a G, we're still in E minor in the beginning. So let's try that second phrase again. And let's try those two things together. Just a nice big D chord there. And then moving on to the next phrase. Which you might recognize, and then we'll go back to that D ending phrase again. So that is the entire C part, which you got down in about 2 minutes, so that's nice. So let's try the C part here. Excellent. Let's try that all together with a repeat. Okay, so sorry about that big boo-boo in the middle, but you get it. We did that a little bit extra, so you get the point. And then we have a D part, which is very close to the B part. So it's going to be making sure that you know the difference between the two. This happens a lot in 4-part tunes where and actually this one is a little bit less like this, but often the A part and the C part are very similar, and the B part and the D part are very similar. We're actually kind of lucky in this tune that the C part is so distinct from the rest of the tune. You know, it kind of has this nice high part at the top, so you're not going to get it mixed up with the A part so much. But it's very easy to mix up the B and the D part. It actually happens all the time in Celtic tunes, and you know, we're all constantly reminding each other, that's not the B part, you know what I mean? You know, that's the you're playing the wrong thing in the session. And so don't worry about it. Just try to make sure you're conscious of the fact that you're going to have to make sure you remember which one is which, because it might not be that obvious. So this, I feel like this one is pretty obvious, but I don't know. It's hard to tell because I've known this tune for so long that it makes sense to me now, but I can't remember learning it. You know what I mean? So, but I do remember loving this tune so much that I couldn't let it go. This tune is very addicting. Actually, I've heard tell of people getting tattoos of this tune. I'm not even joking. It's a very, very popular tune. And it's one that is everybody's favorite tune for a minute, or maybe for the rest of their life in a tattoo. So if this one is really grabbing you and you don't know why, it's got that mystique to it. I don't know. It's a lovable tune. So here we go with the D part here. So I'll keep going. I'll play you the whole thing. Okay. So the first part is, now I kind of think of this one as being, and I know this is probably weird, but I think of this one as being more closed. The first one is da 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 da, kind of soars off into the big top, top of your fiddle there. And I think I don't know, I'm kind of a by feel player. So I tend to think of the shapes of things. So I tend to think of this as, lower and more closed as opposed to the first one that's higher and more open. I don't know. It's like everybody has their own way of thinking about these things. But that's how I distinguished the two. So, I kind of tighten up on my bow strokes a little bit. Get into the accents there, which we'll talk about in a minute once we get going with this. But so we have a nice big, E minor arpeggiation here. And then, so we have actually a little G chord in there. That's D, B, G. And then we have a D chord. A, F sharp, D, D. Did I say that right? A, F sharp, D. So that's kind of adding to the kind of tightened up closedness of this part, I think. And then this next phrase is very similar to that, but slightly different. One more time. All right, so let's try those two phrases together. One more time and make sure you have this down good because the next part is got some climbing in it, so make sure we're solid. Next phrase. Now that is not hard, luckily. It sounds fancier than it is, which is always great. I love those. love it when things are fancier than they actually are. So we're again following that E minor 7 chord. Out to the 7. So we have, I guess it's, it's technically an E minor 7. I guess the way it's laid out here is technically a G chord. But we're playing in that general area. It doesn't really matter what you call it. So we have E minor, G chord, and then that's an E minor chord again. B, E, G, and then just a little filler. And then we'll go and play that last phrase again. So this whole phrase together sounds like this. One more time. And then. All right, so let's do the whole thing together with repeats. Okay, and congratulations, you have the whole tune now. So let's do the whole tune just a hair faster than all that. We'll start up. So we'll stay slow, but let's try to get into a groove with it here. So that so I'll go over the parts because you might have forgotten all four at this point. So the A part is. B part is the one that soars off. C part is the big G. And then we have that closed last fourth part. Okay. Let's take it a little slower than that. 1, 2, 3, and. So there we have it. And if you want to really fancy this tune up, obviously we're going to get a little faster, but we're going to play around with some accents and syncopations here. So yep. So you kind of want to think about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's what dancers want to hear when we're step dancing to all this stuff. We want to hear. So when you hear like a guitar player that's really rhythmic, you know, kind of not Not so much in the pure drop category when they get a little bit more muscle in their arm. You know, that's what dancers really, really love, is that getting that 1, 2, 3, and so that is what you know, that is what people are talking about when they talk about lift. You know, you're literally lifting the dancers off the floor by hitting a beat that they're not quite expecting. So instead of just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, if you hit that second, hit that little 6 on the end, and you don't hit the 1 at all. So it would be, you know, then that really is what makes the dancers float all over the floor. And we love that because dancing is hard. It's hard enough. And also, the 1 is inherently built into these tunes. You do not need to emphasize the 1 ever, in my opinion. I mean, why? Like, it's so, these tunes, when you look at them, they're so structured to be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You don't have to pay attention to that. Just pay attention to all the offbeats, and that's what's going to make things danceable. That is really what it is. It's just taking people by surprise. So that's what we're doing in this first part here. And it's kind of built into the tune. So it's kind of, that's what you want to be focused on. I like to keep it kind of mellow, and mellow the whole time, just mood wise for this tune, because there's so much going on in this tune. You really don't need to add any intensity with your bow, if that makes any sense. You know, doing a little slide into the second, but I'm not playing. You know, that would be adding a lot of grit and intensity, and I just feel like that's too many things. There's a lot of notes going by. It's very repetitive, and I just feel like smooth is a good aesthetic for this tune. So then when we're going up to, my bowing is so boring there because I'm trying to add in those accents. And again, like a proper Irish player would probably bow this a bit differently. I'm kind of taking a little bit from my Scottish background for this. And again, I'm just hit. Those are the notes that are popping out there. Notice that? That D is a little hard to do slow. I don't know what's happening in phrase 3 there, but I think I'm just trying to hit all of the upbeats, of the up bows, sorry. And you know, I wouldn't plan that out too much. I would just try to feel it out and see what happens. And then, so we have this really sing-songy third part. So I'm doing a big shake of vibrato on that first note, just to pop it out. Like vibrato, as I've been saying, in fiddle music is used as another ornament. You can just kind of use it as a, you know, just to make a note pop out. So that's what I'm doing at the top there. I mean, there's, you know, that's a very intense thing to play anyway. It's up on your E string. You don't really need to add much. It's kind of got its own intensity built into it. And so, you know, this whole C part is pretty intense. So I would just kind of not lay into it too much, because then it's going to sound a little bit overboard. So if you just add a few accents in the same place, so and if you're playing a part like that and you're getting lost in the melody and you can't figure out if you're doing the accents, something that is, you can just take the melody out and just practice the bowing on the E string. That way you'll be able to hear what's going on there. You'll be able to really take the bowing out and really get real with yourself about what your bow is actually doing. It's a good thing to do every once in a while. And then you can kind of work on that a little bit, and just without your left hand. And then once your left hand comes back in, you'll have more of an idea of how those two things are supposed to fit together. And then we have the same idea on the fourth part, and the only thing that's different is this one is moving around in such a way that it actually makes the accents a little bit tricky. Sorry. I knew I was going to do that. And I don't even know what I'm doing there. Because that phrase is really its own thing. You wouldn't, the 4 and 6 doesn't quite work as well there, because you kind of want to, because it's upward moving and it's the triples, it would kind of ruin it if you're trying to do the 4-6 things there. So I would just go ahead and follow the melody. That's always a good thing to do. Do what the tune's telling you to do, and then you come down on that. Okay, so then we have see what I mean? So long story short, if you want to play around with all of these accents, and there's not much fancy stuff going with bowing. It's really all about the accents in this tune, and definitely try to learn a jig step too. That'll really help for sure, to make sure you have the danceability happening here. So I'll play the tune one more time just to give us a good place to jam at the end, and I will see you in the next video.